Okay, welcome back. So we are trying to write a code that is going to enable our app respond to clicks, you know, and become very responsive. So to do that, we are going to click on blocks. So the first thing I would like us to do is to take care of our controls. Control buttons: the forward, the backward, the left, and the right. So I'm going to look for those buttons right here. Let me start with the forward. So when the forward button is being clicked, so I'm going to bring it here. When clicked, so when it is being clicked, it's going to send a data to our Bluetooth module. As simple as that. So I'm going to look for Bluetooth and call write byte, probably with response. So let's look for write byte dot write byte with response. Okay, that's it here. So I'm going to add it to this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring a text to enable me fill in some certain things. So we need our service UUID, and we also need our characteristics UUID. So I'm going to share this ID in the description below. This is the ID. Okay, so this ID is what you need if you're working with the current BLE that I'm using. This is the ID you need. Okay, so I'm going to pick this, Ctrl C to copy. I'll paste it here, and I'll drag to this. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'll put this here. So looking at these two UUID, you see they are very similar. The only difference is this is a 1. That's the only difference. The second one here is a 1. So I'm going to change this to 1. Okay, that's cool. So the next thing is my logic. I'm going to make sure that this is always true. That signed is always true. And also my values. Values is what do you intend to send? What data are you trying to send? So I'm going to send F as our forward, capital F. Okay, cool. So that's it for this button. So I'm going to right click to duplicate for other buttons like backward. So I'm going to change this to backward. The only thing I'm going to change here is B. Make it B for backward. Then I'm going to duplicate again for other buttons. As easy as that. So what button I'm going to do? Let me use right. I'm going to change this to capital R. Then duplicate one more for the last button. So I'm going to make it left. And then I'm going to change this to capital L. That's it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to introduce other functionalities for other buttons. So I'm going to start with a disconnect button. So I'll go to disconnect. And I'll look for when clicked. So when disconnect is being clicked. So when disconnect is being clicked, what do I really want to do? I think I would like to throw a notification so that because someone can mistakenly tap on the disconnect button and then the communication immediately disconnects. So we wouldn't want that. So I think we're going to have like an alert notifier that tells us if we really want to disconnect, before it proceeds to do that. Okay, so currently we don't have a notifier in our app here. It means I'm going to add it from the front end. So I'll go to the front. I'll look for notifier here. That's it here. I'll add it. So we now have notifier as part of our application. I go back to the block. I should be able to see notifier. That's it here. So I click on it. What do I want? Okay, let's look at a notifier method that will enable us get the feature we want, because we need 2 buttons. Okay, good. This has 2 buttons that enables us to either choose a yes or a no if we really want to disconnect. So I'm going to make this false. I don't want a cancel button, the third button. I don't want the third button called cancel. I only want a yes and a no button. So how do I add a yes and a no? I'm going to pick my text. So I'm going to pick my text here, and then I'll drag it to this point. So I'm going to change this to a no. Enter. And I'm going to duplicate this here and then change this to a yes. So I'm going to change this to a yes. So after doing that, I'm going to also create a title for it. So the title, I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to call it alert. Good. So the next thing I'm going to need is the message that I want to show or display. So I'm going to call it do you want to disconnect? I think I would like to use something like that. So I'm going to type, do you want to disconnect? So with a question mark. Do you want to disconnect? So you choose either yes or no. Cool. That's it. But the next thing is, what happens when someone clicks on no or yes? I think we need to track that in our code. Okay, for us to track that, we're going to look for a notifier method that will help us track. So let's go to notifier and look for something like after choosing or after selecting. I think, yeah, after choosing, after selecting. Let's look for it. Let's look for it. Okay, I'm seeing after choosing here. That's cool. So this is what we need. Okay, so I'm going to need an if condition that will enable me compare that an if condition should be controlled. So an if condition that will enable me compare the condition of the clicks that has been done. So I'm going to need an equal to here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to need is get choice. Okay, get choice. So to get it, you just click here. Sorry, you hover on this choice here. When you hover on it, it's going to pop out. So I'm going to drag this out and then lock it here. So I'll go to text and then drag this and lock it here. So what text am I tracking? I'm tracking yes. So when you click on yes, it means that you're trying to actually disconnect. So if you really want to disconnect, we're going to call the BLE that enables us to disconnect. So I'll go to Bluetooth BLE. So when I click on Bluetooth BLE, I'll look for something, a method that has to do with disconnect. Okay, that's it here. So I'm just going to drag it. The moment I keep it there, you're going to call BLE.disconnect. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to set the status. I mean the text status. So I'm going to set the text status. The status.text to something like probably status disconnected. I mean the one we have at the front end here. I mean this text here that shows status disconnected, because we're going to be changing the text when we disconnect to make sure that it's actually removed. So I think I mistakenly called it scan. So let me change it to status. Is it scan? The label? Okay, status. It's correct. So I'm going to look for status. Where is it? Okay, that's it here. So I'll look for set status text. That's it here. Okay. So I'm going to change it to. I'm having issues here. These guys. Okay. So I'm going to change this to this. I'm going to change it to status column space disconnected. Disconnecting. I think I would like to use disconnecting. disconnecting, then I'll track it when it is disconnected. Yes. So I'm going to my list view also, I think I need to make it false. The list view I mean is this one here. We're going to be bringing it on and off depending on when we need it. So we only need it when we are scanning and selecting a Bluetooth device. So because you're trying to disconnect, it's going to make it go blind, or this become invisible. So for us to do that, I'm going to go to list view here. Here's my list view. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to look for set list view dot something visible, something like visible. Okay, that's it here. So I'm going to have it here. Then I'm going to make sure that it's a false, meaning that it's going to go blind. So logic false here. Okay, cool. I think this works for after choosing one of these guys. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to work write codes for other buttons. We have scan that we've not done. Which other button? Connect. I think connect is also very important. So we need connect, we need scan. We've done disconnected. So far we're done with these 4 buttons. We're done with disconnected. I think we've not done connect and scan. So let's work on that. So I'm going to go to look for the buttons that I've not done. Let me start with scan. So when scan button is being clicked, what we want it to do, first of all, our text is going to show us that status what do I write there? I'm going to make it tell us that it's scanning, right? Okay, I mean what similar to what we have here. So I'm going to duplicate this. I have it here. So instead of connecting, it's going to be, instead of disconnecting, it's going to be scanning. Yeah, cool. So after doing that, the next thing we need to do is to make our list view visible. We made it invisible here, so I'm going to bring this here and make it invisible and make it visible. That's true. Okay, very importantly, the Bluetooth, how are we going to connect? So we need to look for a method that has to do with how are we going to scan? So we need to look for a BLE method that has to do with scanning. So let's look for I think start scanning. Let's look for it. Okay, that's it here. So as simple as that. I'll put it here. So it's going to start scanning. So we are done with the scan button. So I think the next one we need to do is the connect. So I'm going to look for connect here. So for connect, I'll look for when it's being clicked. So when it's being clicked, what do I really want to do? First of all, I'm going to call bluetooth.connect. Yes, I would like to now connect. So we'll look for call bluetooth.connect. That's it here. So right now it's connected. The next thing is, what is it going to connect to? It's going to connect to whatever we select in our list view. Remember, the list view pops up all the it brings out all the Bluetooth devices that are available. So whichever one you select becomes the one that it connects to. So how do we do that? We're going to pick a list view selection, right? A selection in our list view. So we'll go to list view and look for list view, something like list view selection index. Cool, that's it. So list view selection index will help us do that. Okay, the next thing, we need to actually show our text here, I mean the status here telling us connected, right? So to get that, we are going to duplicate what we have here. So I'm going to bring this down. So it's going to be it has not really connected. I think it's trying to connect. It's trying to connect. We're going to track it when it's being connected. So let's leave it at connecting, right? Yeah, connecting. Then do we still need our list view to be visible while it's connecting? Yes, we're gonna need it. So let me just leave it there. Let me just leave it as true. Okay. I think we're done with the connecting button. So the next button that the next thing we need to do is, when the Bluetooth is being disconnected, what happens? When a device is being found, what happens? When is being connected and disconnected, this status needs to be tracked, and the status text properly changed. So let's fix all of that. I'm going to go back to this. So I'm going to start with what happens when it's connected, when the Bluetooth actually gets connected. So I'm going to look for connected, right? That's it here. So when it's connected, what happens? First of all, I'm going to set my status. Of course, I'm going to set my status. Where is it? I'm going to set my status to Tommy connected. So I have it already. I'm just going to duplicate this. So I'm going to duplicate this here. So all I'm going to do here is just write connected. Okay, cool. So what next do I want to do when it's connected? I think my list view always goes alongside. I always want to have it here. So, but this time around, it's going to be false because it's connected. We don't need to see it again. So the next thing I'm going to do is, what happens when a device is found? So I'm going to go back to my BLE. It's not really a must, but let's just make sure we're building a nice app that works well. Okay, so when device is being found, we're going to make sure that we set our list view dot element from string to the BLE device list. So I'm going to look for set list view to set list view to element. Okay, that's it here. Set list view dot element from string to a Bluetooth device list. So a Bluetooth device list. Okay, let's look for a BLE device list. Something like a BLE device list. Okay, that's it here. Okay, cool. What next? Which other status are we interested in? I think we are interested in disconnected. When is disconnected, we need to make sure we hold our status. So when is disconnected, which is this. So right now is disconnected. What do we want? First of all, these two texts are always going to be part of our whatever. Always going to be part of it. So I'm going to change this to disconnected, of course. So I'm going to change to disconnected. Okay, disconnected. Then I'm going to make sure that this guy is no longer showing. I think if I'm done, is there another thing that we need to do? Is there another thing? I think these are all the major operations that we need to track. Okay, these are all the major operations that we need to track. Okay, so we are going to meet in the next video where we're going to export this application into our phone, and then test it with our serial monitor in Arduino to see if this data B, L, R, F is actually being sent. Okay, we're going to meet in the next video. Thank you.